When it comes to my biome tour series, I get loads of interesting questions. But one question in particular tends to be far more common than any other. How do my builds work within the item limit? In fact, I answer this question so often that I've decided to finally make a video about it in hopes that I can help others work within the confines of the game's current limitations. Now, some players prefer minimalistic builds, and those players do not struggle with the item limit whatsoever. And that's great! As I say in almost all of my videos, there is no right or wrong way to decorate your valley. What's important is that you create something that feels right to you. Now, if you are someone who can often hit a wall thanks to that item limit, I sincerely hope you find at least some of these tips and tricks very helpful. Hey there, gamers, I'm probably Senpai, and today I will be sharing everything I know about the item limit with you. Currently, I have over 600 hours in Disney Dreamlight Valley, and I've done loads of testing and research to help myself and my community develop a better understanding of the game's mechanics. Before we dive into today's video, I'd like to mention that I am a small, full-time content creator. So hitting that like button helps me continue pursuing my dreams and my career. It also allows me to make helpful videos just like this one. So maybe hit that thumbs up if you find value in the video, maybe. Also, consider subscribing for more Disney Dreamlight Valley and gaming content. And with that, let's get started. All right. So we're going to talk about the question I get all the time, which is how do I deal with the item limit? I've done a lot of tours of my different biomes, and I put 4 of them on YouTube. I'm still doing more. I get a lot of people that see my biome tours, and they say, how do you have that many items placed? Are you hacking? Are you cheating? Are your other biomes just completely empty? No, they're not actually. And yes, I'm hacking. No, I'm kidding. I'm not. I'm not hacking. I'm not cheating. There's actually some tips and tricks for working around the item limit that I'm going to share with you guys today. I can actually have my item limit even lower than what you see here. Right now, it says 2,835. I can actually get it even lower, and we will before I work on my next biome. The only biome I have at all that is empty is my Sunlit Plateau. That's the only one, and that's because I'm saving it for Simba, Nala, and Timon and Pumbaa, you know, and Scar. So they're all gonna live here when I do that build, so I haven't touched this one yet, but that's the only one. And I know since we're getting them in the next update that I might as well just hold off and then have some fun when I see what the houses look like and I get all that stuff, but that's beside the point. We're going to discuss how I can work around the item limit and not always end up scratching my head in frustration with how to place stuff. First off, let's talk about those 2 numbers you see above me. There's 2 different ones. You see a 600 and a 3,000. So right now it says 410 of 600 and 2,835 out of 3,000. Those 2 numbers actually confuse a lot of people. I had a lot of people asking me, how did you place more than 600 items? The limit is 600. And originally, that 3,000 wasn't actually there when the game came out. It only showed the 600. So a lot of people thought that was the limit. It's not. So those are 2 separate things. The 600 is your unique item count. So you can have 600 unique items. And the 3,000 is your global item count, if that makes sense. So let me do a little demonstration to explain this to you guys, okay? I'm going to grab something I know isn't anywhere in my valley right now. We're going to pull out an item that I know I don't have anywhere at all. We're going to go with the Grand Tree of Holiday Cheer. Christmas is over, so I know I don't have one of these laying around. So right now, if you look at both of those numbers up above me, we're at 410 and we're at 2,835. Boom, we place that tree, and both numbers go up by 1. That is because I just placed a new unique item. But if I place another tree, that is no longer unique. So now, only one of the numbers went up. We stayed at 411 from when we dropped the first tree. And if you look above me, the lower number out of 3,000 is the only number that increased. If we place another one, same thing. And you're going to see we're going to go up from 2,837 to 2,838. But again, the top number did not increase. It is remaining at 411. You can only have 600 unique items throughout your valley. That's why when you use items for decorating, if you want to stay off of that 600 count, it's important to reuse. So like, you know, things like the trellis. I love using the trellis. It's a beautiful item. When it comes to my flower beds, I try to use several of them. I don't like the opening in between paths, so I try to put several of those down. You know, I have several of the Well of Souls. I have several elegant gazebos scattered throughout. I have several celestial banners. So if you're having trouble with the 600, consider placing some duplicate items. Now, I wish we could place more unique items. That would be really cool. Maybe in the future. We'll see. So now that we've explained how to manage your unique item count, let's talk about the real problem.
the global item count. It's not usually an issue until you get to the late game, right? Like once you've unlocked all the biomes and you finished all the character quests, what you're doing at that point in the game is decorating. That's what you're going to be spending your time doing. You're going to be going to your different biomes, doing everything you can to make them beautiful and fun, and you're just going to be doing as much as you can to make these biomes special. And some players are minimalistic. You know, some players are only going to put a few items in a biome. They're not going to crowd it up. It's not going to be, they're not trying to put too much down. They want a nice big open field with a few little decorations. That's cool. All the time I say there's no wrong way to play. If that's your style and you don't want a lot of stuff out, that's great. That actually works better for you because you're never going to have to stress the item count. But for a lot of us, we love all of the different furniture items. We love how many things are in the game. We want to experiment with all these things. We want to fill out these biomes. So how can you do that while staying within the confines of that 3,000? How do I do that? Because that is, like I said, that is the number one question I get on all of my Valley Tour videos. I get a bunch of different questions, but that one is recurring. So I'm making this video because next time somebody asks me that, I'm just going to send them a link to this video because I explain it over and over and over, and I think this would be great for them to kind of see all the answers laid out and exactly how it works. Let's talk about it. Here's a little known fact. There are 2 things in the game, only 2 things in the entire game that do not affect the item count. Those 2 items are pathing and fencing. Pathing and fencing, there is no limit. There is no limit on this stuff. You can place unlimited pathing and fencing. If you wanted to, you could literally take fencing and just fill your biome completely up. Just go up and down and just basically like a 3D printer, just go across your whole biome if you have the resources. So that's why I use so much. Like, look at this. There's dark wood fence right here. There's the white picket fence here. White picket fence all the way around this. If we go over here, we have a lot of the bamboo fence. And also, look at all the pathing. You know, I have so much pathing down. We have the leaf-strewn pathing. We have the golden opal road. We have the brick road. We have the sinister brick. All of this pathing serves to fill out these areas. And kind of remove that negative space. Like that's, you know, and it makes the biome look very full. Now, maybe you hate that idea. Maybe you don't want your biome to look full. Like I said, that's fine. So when it comes down to it, there is a lot going on to work around the item limit here under the scenes. Like with all that I have going on in all my valleys, and I can still place more stuff. You know, I'm at 2,835. Also, there's some tiny things I can get rid of to stretch that number even more, and my biomes would still look just as full. Getting rid of tiny things is a big solution, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's talk about the numbers a little bit more. Now, I told you guys what doesn't count, right? Fencing and pathing. The only 2 things in the game that don't count, to my knowledge. I don't think houses count either, but you can't store those. I don't think fruit trees count, but I can't test that because you can't put them away. You cannot store a fruit tree. They are what they are. They're going to be there. And houses, I cannot store houses either. I cannot store wells. So I'm not sure if houses, wells, or fruit trees count towards the item limit. I don't think so, but like I said, I can't test that, so just take that with a grain of salt. Let's talk about what does count. That's an easy thing. Everything counts. Everything except for the pathing, the fencing, and possibly houses and wells. And when I say everything, I mean every stick, every mushroom, every basil, every flower, you know, every oyster, every clam, every rock. Even the little formations that pop up. Where's one that I can find for you? The dig spots. You know the dig spots that have the dream shards in them? Those count. Those also, you know, those dig spots, if you dig them away, you will eliminate one of those 3,000. Now, the mining rocks, those don't count. But everything that flies out of it, if you leave it on the ground, that does count. For managing your item count, the one thing you can do is pick up a lot of this stuff. And I know what you're saying, but Senpai, I don't want to have to pick up a million things just to place stuff. So I'm just going to try to keep it below.
It's wonderful.
And that's okay. Here's another tip. Considering every flower and every piece of oregano and every dig spot and every rock formation, every ice formation, all the bones in the Sunlit Plateau, considering those all count, sadly, we cannot turn off the spawning for this stuff, but you can force it to be limited. Now, only do this if you have a whole lot of resources. Like right now, I got over 600 hours in the game. I have more softwood than I think I'll ever be able to work with. Like, I don't know what to do with all of the softwood. I don't know what to do with all of the flowers I have. I have chest upon chest upon chest of this stuff. So, since I have nearly an unlimited amount of these things, I don't need to pick them every day. So what I've done is I've blocked off every spawn point in this entire biome. There is nowhere for a single flower to appear in the plaza. Nowhere. You will not find a single flower or dig spot
I wonder what Anna's up to.
or stick. And because I don't need any softwood, I don't need the flowers, I don't need the oregano. So the trick here is by limiting the ability of these items to spawn, you can keep your 3,000 item count lower. That way, in order to place items, you're not going to have to log on and immediately remove all of these sticks and all of this oregano and all of these flowers. You can force it to be limited by placing paths. So to give you a look here, the areas where my brick pathing doesn't cover, you'll see dirt pathing. You see this little line? And I know that line doesn't look the best, but that line would just be a bunch of oregano and random flowers and dig spots if I didn't have the dirt there. I could also bring the brick down further if I wanted, but I like the brick to be in a flush line. But that's why you see random clumps of dirt. That's why you see all these random clumps of dirt here, right? Now, where you don't see dirt, nothing can grow there because nothing can be placed there. But if you look around this entire biome, if you go over it with a fine-tooth comb, you're not going to find a single oregano. You're not going to find a single flower because I have found every spot where those things appear and filled those spots with some kind of pathing. And because of that, now I have more of an item count to work with. Because I don't ever have items spawning here, which means, however many oregano and flowers and sticks that would be, that shaves like 20 or more off my item count. Gives me even more to work with. Now, I'm not saying do this with every biome because there's going to be resources you really need. And also, even for the plaza, even for softwood and flowers and oregano, I wouldn't recommend doing this until you have an overabundance of those things. Now that we're on this topic, we're going to go ahead and do this with the meadow as well. Let's zoom out. We're at 2,836. That number's going to go up as some more things spawn, but let's go ahead and limit this biome. I haven't done it with this biome yet. All right, so now that we're done covering everything in this biome, we've been able to get ourselves down to, and more stuff is probably respawned in other biomes, 2,819 now. Nothing can spawn here anymore, with the exception of a few small flowers. Certain flowers in the game actually take up 1 square. Each path, just so you know, takes up 4 squares. So, for example, let me find one. Here you go. For example, look at this little guy. He takes up 1 square, whereas a path would take up 4 squares. And I actually can't put a path right here because the square above this actually doesn't exist. That's why we can't move the flower there. So the flowers in the game that only take up 1 spot, which it's only a few, those are going to be a lot harder to stop with pathing. You could stop them by, let's say, taking a tiki torch and putting it on those spots, but you're adding an item to prevent an item, so it's not going to benefit you. So just keep that in mind. So some of the flowers are going to get by you. That's fine. But when it comes to sticks, you can control that. When it comes to the dig spots, you can control that. And when it comes to most of the flowers in the game, you can control that. So what I did was I just kind of used little pathing here and there to cover it up. We moved some things around, and just like that, there will be no more issues with basil, no more issues with sticks, and no more issues with most flowers. So now we've limited all of that in both of these biomes, which is going to make it even easier for me to maintain a lower item count and not have to go pick up stuff every single time I play. Now let's move on to the next way to control the item count, which is using large items to occupy spaces. And there's now this sounds really basic, so you're probably like, wow, okay, Senpai, use big items. Duh. Okay, I know it sounds really easy, right? You're like, but I'm gonna go over the part that is simple first, right? So big item, right? You go to my swamp, look at how full this biome looks. It's mostly pathing. I haven't put fencing here yet. I'm working on that. But like these big trees and these big roots, they really fill this place out. They really do. And there's even one on the outside of the biome. Like this one doesn't count. It's part of the path, but that just goes to show that that's just something that they really intended for you to use in this biome anyway. So things like this that take up a lot of space can be really useful. Big rocks can be really useful. Now let's talk about something else. Let's talk about how you can replace a whole bunch of items with one item. Like if I wanted to get rid of this bush, this grass, this tree, this bush over here, like all this stuff, I could do it with this item. look at this. Look at this. This thing has everything you need. It has it has 2 palm trees. It has rock. It has the plant here. So, for example, if I were to come over here, I did this one earlier. I think I deleted like 5 or 6 items, and I put this here. So you can do that as well. So go through your valley and see if you can find anywhere. You know what? Let's do it. We'll do it right now anyway. See if you can find anywhere where you can get rid of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we go into trees. We go down. We got rid of 5 items. And now we're going to select tropical greenery. I'm going to be able to get rid of even more, I think. Yeah, with how big that is, we can get rid of even more. We can get rid of this. 6, 7. So we got rid of 7 items. Let's go back down to trees. We just removed 7 things and replaced them with 1. So consider that. And those items are here for so many different things, you guys. So a lot of people ask me, you know, how do you work around the item limit? How do you have all these biomes with all this stuff in them? I remember when I did my tour for my dream garden and somebody actually commented, what, are all your other biomes empty? No, they're not. You can work with the item limit. You just got to tweak some stuff. You know, here's the big takeaways, okay? Here's the big takeaway for everybody watching. I'm just going to go through a quick recap for you guys. Number 1, fencing and pathing do not apply to the item count. So if you're really trying to fill out a biome, utilize a lot of it. You know, for example, you go to my Forest of Valor, look at all that brick and iron fence. Look at all that pathing everywhere. Even in the wooded part, there's a lot of the dirt path. There's the leaf stream path. Look at all that stuff. So utilize all of that wherever you can. Number 2, everything else will apply. So pick up all your sticks, pick up all your flowers, pick up all your herbs. If you get those up off the ground, you can put down more items. If you don't want to be bothered with picking those up every day, you can control your spawns. I know it's a headache and I know it takes a lot of resources. So this is a late game option. But if you look at my plaza, not a single stick can spawn here. Not a single flower can spawn here. Not a single oregano can spawn here. Not a single dig spot can spawn here. None of it can. So I don't have to worry about picking that stuff up. And I don't need any of that stuff. If I do need that stuff, I can put a tree back in here. I can remove some pathing so some flowers can spawn. I have that option. But with how far ahead I am in the game, with how much of that stuff I have, I'd rather not pick up the stuff every day. I'd rather limit it. So limit your spawns. You'll be able to place more items. And finally, the last bit of advice for anybody trying to control their item count is simply this. Utilize big items instead of a bunch of little ones. You know, like this is 3 trees, rocks, a bush. I got rid of 7 items to place this 1, right? Think about where you can do that and look at your options in landscaping. There are so many things you can do to utilize that strategy. You put all this stuff around here to try and fill out a space when you could have just put 1 item to fill out that space. Does that make sense? Hopefully that does. But anyway, I hope this helped you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video today. And if you have any questions for me, you can come by and see me on Twitch, which I'll put in the link below the video. And you can also drop comments under this video. It always helps if you guys like and please subscribe for more Disney Dreamlight Valley content. As always, stay safe, stay awesome, stay healthy, and good luck decorating your valley. Okay, guys, there we go. We finished our YouTube video. Now, let me dive into the comments here so I can say thank you to you guys for congratulating us on the 2.